his luck. Pretty dogged innings, but only one run. He was just trying to stay there with Steve Waugh. But that was brought to an end. Now that brings McGill on strike. In the last match, if you remember, it took just 3 balls to get Stuart McGill out twice. The first innings, he was out first ball. In the second innings, it only took 2. So he'd be looking to improve on that, I think.
Well, he's now reached a stage where he can equal it by lasting 2 balls, and he only needs a run to improve on it. I wonder how Glenn McGrath feels, still being down at number 11, having made 39 in the first innings of the first test. Gone, second ball, his third duck. Lovely catch again by Dave Joseph in the slips. 248 for 8, and Steve Waugh on 95.
Well, Pedro Collins has done the job again. Fair bit of pace in that one, then surprised Stuart McGill. Tried to push it off the back foot, shot not really on, simple catch. He's on his way for another duck, and the 9th wicket down for 248.
That'll go for 4, carries him to 99. Sliced away, trying to protect the boundaries and give the batsman the single. Well, you can't stop the 4 there.
Well, this was a thickish outside edge. Bit of frustration there from Steve Waugh, but no man down there. Gives him a little bit of width. Just slashes at that one there. One slip, you pay the price. There's a man down there at third man, but much too wide. Pedro Collins couldn't cut that off. It takes him to 99. Also brought up the Australian 250. Glenn McGrath's probably sitting up the other end wondering what all the panic's about, Tony.
Well, he got 39 in the first innings, very good runs in the test match in Trinidad. He was here in a very similar situation when Steve Waugh was approaching what is, even now, only double 100. Stayed with him for him to get that.
Yes.
There it is. Steve Waugh, Australian captain, gets 100. His 18th test 100, his first as Australia's captain. And there's a mini invasion of the ground from, well, it's becoming more than that now. Just wonder where the security is here at Sabina Park. Absolutely none whatever. And an invasion of the ground, as there was here back in 1995 when Steve Waugh got his 100. Very similar invasion then of Australian supporters. They've come out with their Aussie rules football, and whatever congratulations he gets, fully deserved 100 out of 254 for 9 for Steve Waugh.
Well, that's a magic 100. Just look at those figures. 164 balls. But other than his brother Mark Waugh, everyone else has struggled. He just runs his single down through the gully region, and he's a pretty happy and relieved man there. He's worked pretty hard for that. Timed the ball beautifully today. Most of his boundaries have not just trickled to the fence, absolutely flown to the fence. He's played some absolutely scintillating shots. McGrath will be looking for one to get Steve Waugh back on strike. Played pretty well last week. His confidence will be high with the bat. There's his test career with the bat, just averaging 5.5. Like you see last week, that score was way above his average, 39.
There's no man under the bat, and that really is a surprise. McGrath West Indies should know by now, doesn't handle the short ball at all comfortably. He didn't there. Adams came in for one delivery in the last over.
Well, that's how he got away with it last week too. They forgot to attack him all the time. This time they have, but they didn't have the field to back up the bowling. Quite a good delivery there from Pedro Collins, right in the right area. No men there in leg gully. Man behind square had to do the fielding. Put Steve Waugh back on strike.
Gone! End of the innings. Lara takes a catch. Pedro Collins gets his third wicket. And Glenn McGrath is the one who is not out, as was the case here in 1995 when Steve Waugh got the double 100. He goes on an even 100 and Australia are all out for 256.
Well, this is how the last wicket fell. Steve Waugh just putting forward. Pedro Collins did he with a little away swinger straight to the captain, Brian Lara. Superb pair of hands. So Steve Waugh, the last man out. This is how it happened. Putting forward, Brian Lara. Sorry, Joseph is the man that takes the catch. Steve Waugh exactly out for 100 on the button. Glenn McGrath, the not out batsman. And Australia finally out for 256. Pedro Collins gets his third wicket.
Brilliant 100 that by Steve Waugh, his 18th Test match century and his first as Australian captain, helping the Australians to 256 all out. How good a score was it? Well, at the time we all thought it was a pretty fair effort on a difficult pitch. As for the West Indian bowling, well, no doubt about it, that man Courtney Walsh once again quite brilliant. 20 over 6 maidens, 4 for 55. Collins did pretty well, 3 for 79. Right, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll see how the West Indies got on in their first innings, and it started 16 overs before the close of the first day.
And some leg cut. So immediately Gillespie, who didn't get a bag full of wickets last week in Trinidad, but Steve Waugh said at the post-match conference that he felt that Gillespie actually bowled better than Glenn McGrath in that second innings last week, immediately online.
And Suraj Raghunath obliging by dangling the bat out. Now, you see opening batsmen leave a lot of balls alone and get criticised at times for it, but that is exactly the delivery that you do leave alone. Outside the off stump, going further away, don't hang your bat out. Let it go through to the keeper.
And he's in a bit of trouble. The ball coming back to him this occasion. Interesting, Raghunath does have the liking for the hook shot, and this extra bounce may encourage Gillespie and McGrath to bowl him some bounces, but if the ball is doing this all day, there's probably no need to. Except they went through a test match, the two Australian fast bowlers, without much bounce last week in Trinidad. Probably only 6 genuine bounces for the day, for the game. So Raghunath, in just his second test match, has got a difficult task in front of him. 3 slips, 2 gullies, and a man at bat pad in Justin Langer. And there's that ability and like for the hook shot, the ability to try and play it. Just the traditional fine leg for Raghunath.
Well, he didn't let you down, David, did he? Wasn't a great bouncer, but it was an attempted one. And Raghunath quickly onto that back foot and going for the shot. It's quite a way down the leg side. It's pretty hard to catch up with those.
From the Blue Mountains end. Right on line again, an inside edge into the body. It just seems to me that Raghunath wants to play too aggressively at the ball. He's just getting into a pretty good position to play a normal defensive shot. And that way you can adjust if the ball comes in a little bit like that. But he's trying to hit the ball. You see That's a big follow through for a ball that probably should have been just defensively stopped. There is no man past the man at bat pad, so even a good defensive shot will go to mid-on for a single. And the big shout by the Australians. Peter Willie says that's out. So Raguenaar looks back at Peter Willie. He may have thought that he got a little bit of an inside edge, but the Australians have broken through in just a second over, and Raguenaar's Test career continues to fail.
Jason Gillespie in close to the stumps. Now, that ball came back quite a fair bit to Raguenaar, and he may have got some bat on it, but it could have been going down the leg side, touch and go. But if the umpire's finger's up, it makes no difference. First wicket to fall, 4 on the board.
And a catch is called, but it would have come off the thigh pad or the arm. And this young kid is having a testing debut.
Be a baptism of fire. Yes, off the shoulder. But, well, it was perhaps very good batting, just letting it hit him and not getting the bat up, or else he was miles late on whatever he planned to do.
Good bouncer going through throat high. So the Australian fast bowlers enjoying the extra bounce that this pitch is providing compared to last week at Port of Spain in Trinidad. And this kid must be wondering, where is this being happening from?
Brian Lara padded up to bat 4 as listed. That's actually just grazed Lincoln Roberts' chest, but he played that very well, kept his eye on the ball, just swayed, kept his bat out of the way.
Online, it's a shame, wanted a pill. He's been given out. Roberts has pointed to his arm, but you've got to get off the ground. Someone, the umpire gives you out, and you don't stand there staring at the umpire. So sending in a number 3 hasn't worked. So the West Indies lose their second wicket. Shaymorn took the catch and then wrung his fingers. He may have jammed his finger between the ball. Lincoln Roberts still looking dejected as he walks off, but he's out.
Well, Lincoln Roberts is lucky he didn't get his watch smashed there, but I think we need a closer look at this, because didn't hit Lincoln Roberts exactly where he thought it did. It got him on the wristband of his glove. He's gone for a duck. They're 5 for 2.
So McGrath and Gillespie really have put the West Indies on the back foot this evening. Eleven overs remaining after this. Lara on strike for his first ball. Right on line, and he clips it away brilliantly towards fine leg. And 4 runs to Brian Lara. And he's bowled him! Inside edge, trying to slash it away through backward point. So McGrath strikes, and Brian Lara can only contemplate at the other end what is happening to his batting side. So the continuation of the woes, and Campbell, after having 2 lives, has been dismissed, and the West Indies in strife.
Sherwin Campbell going for his shots. He might feel he's best off playing his natural game, but he tried to force that off the back foot. The ball came back, found the inside edge, and because his bat was angled, he succeeded in chopping it down onto his stump. So he's out bowled for 12. West Indies in tatters, 17 for 3.
Well, Dave Joseph has come to the crease, the man that I think should have batted at number 3. He batted there in his first test last week in Trinidad. He made 50. He took 3 catches today. He comes to the crease because Campbell tried to play a cut shot, but the ball was A, too close, B, too full, and C, it seemed back. So McGrath on fire to Joseph. And he tries to hit him away, does so well in front of point. So Joseph won't go down thinking about should he have played his shots or not. So he, like Lara, off the mark with the boundary. And a good shot to hit McGrath in front of point with a cut shot.
Well, one thing is for certain. The spectators at Sabina Park are getting their money's worth. There's been action aplenty all day. Dave Joseph gets off the mark with a good shot. Forcing shot through the covers off the back foot.
Gone, slow ball. Joseph slicing the catch to deep gully. Deceived by the change of pace. And the West Indies have lost their 4th wicket for 34. Dave Joseph going after it and hitting through the line too early.
That was good bowling by Glenn McGrath. He certainly deceived them with a slow delivery. You can see that Dave Joseph got nowhere near to the pitch of that ball with his feet. And he's disappointed, very, very disappointed. So is that man. They put together a pretty good partnership in Port of Spain. Not so on this occasion. It's 34 for 4.
Well, not quite down for the count. Brian Lara got one in a similar area yesterday. And down he goes.
Well, guys all over the world watching can sympathise with what's going on there, the pain that Pedro Collins is in, and any girls watching, I'm sure you can imagine just how bad that would be. Oh no, ouch.
Well, just checking, it's still there. In the box, the protective box, that is. But the question now is whether he'll have to retire hurt. This has gone on for some time now. I think Steve Buckner is saying, look, we've taken up enough time. Can you continue? And he's going off. He's going to retire. So he's not out. He's done the job which he was sent in to do and more as the night watchman. He'll get a good reception from the crowd. And he'll get the attention he needs when he goes into the dressing room. So he'll retire hurt and will be able to come back to bat later.
Lovely shot, beautifully played by Lara, up on his toes, and the outfield is very quick and it should get to the boundary, and does. So beautiful shot in front of the wicket off the opening bowler. Lovely shot through the covers. That is beautiful placement. The off drive of the morning. And that is how to play a cover drive against the leg spinner. Foot to the pitch of the ball and the free flow of the bat.
Well, these are the shots we're used to of Brian Lara. Just a bit too much width here. And look at that beautiful shot there. That's Slater there trying to get down to that. He's a very quick fielder and he's fairly deep. Couldn't cut that off.
Well put away. Goes all the way. A low full toss. And Adams strokes it through the extra cover area. So he goes into double figures now.
We don't get them to turn too much, the full toss. Adams taking full toll of that with a boundary. Tossed it up, looking for a bit more loop, Stuart McGill. But just didn't quite get it right.
Leap of anticipation, shouts of catch. Eventually coming off the pad, 108 for 4. Justin Langer, the fielder. Shouts of catch it. Yes, a glove there. So he dropped it. Justin Langer, the fielder. No wonder there was excitement and those shouts of catch it. just wide and dropped. Now, is that the chance that Australia will rule? Mark Waugh, who doesn't drop many, McGrath really worked hard for that. Lara escapes, he gets a single for it, and the West Indies are 109 for 4.
Yes, Brian Lara, no footwork again, and look at this. Mark Waugh's second step, superb catcher, really did the hard yards getting there, but unfortunately just couldn't hang on to it. So fortunate again.
Got him! Coming back for a second, even on McGrath's throw, and 2 runs to Lara, bringing up his second half century in 3 innings in the series. And what a reception he's getting around this ground. There were fears that he would receive a rather hostile reception after what happened in South Africa. It's not been the case at all. Those fears have not materialized. He got a good reception yesterday, and now a very warm reception from this crowd on his half century. Short and pulled away. Will go all the way for 4.
Well, there's a good answer to the doubters. The signs tell the story. Warren just didn't quite get this right. Lara quickly under the length of this, pulling it through, Whitish mid-on. Leg not just quite right. Lara watching that one right onto the bat, just whacking it wider mid-on. No chance for the fielder there.
He's hoisted up, down towards Laron, into the mound stand. A superb shot from Lara for 6. Now there's the first time we've seen him use his feet. He's got the maximum of the last ball of the over, and the West Indies are 126 for 4. There it is again. Down the wicket he goes. Good, clean follow through, and all the way into the celebrating mound stand.
Pulled away, that's going down to the boundary for 4 runs. Races across the practice pitches. And Warren conceding another boundary. Adams onto it quickly. Too short, and smacked away for 4 runs. No ball, smacked down to the long-on boundary for 4 runs. So the contest continues, but Lara continues to get the better of it. The 150 coming up with that boundary.
Lovely shot again. Just the extra bit of loop, and Lara uses his feet. He may well have heard the call and just decided to swing through the line. Although the way that he's playing at the moment, the mood that he's in, he could have played that anyway.
Banged away through the offside, will go for 4, short, and Lara climbing onto it. And that boundary carries Lara to over 5,000 runs in Test cricket. He becomes the 8th West Indian to reach that figure, and he really did put it away expertly.
'61 matches, 5,003 runs, Brian Lara. That ball just too much width from Gillespie. His line's been good today. Lara hit that up, but in the air, but there was a huge gap in the covers.
He's hit that very well for 4. It's going to pick up pace on the practice pitches. Another boundary for Lara carries him now on to 96. Now raises him to his highest score here at Sabina Park.
Just short of a length outside the off stump. Brian Lara has just crashed that through the covers.
There's the mid-wicket gap. He's gone for it. Chance of the stumps, and he's hit the stumps. The umpire will have to call for the 3rd umpire. So Steve Buckner has called for the 3rd umpire. The crowd has been invaded, but we don't know whether Brian Lara's got his century or not, and there is pandemonium on the ground here at Sabina Park. The fans have run onto the ground, but they may be celebrating a 99. What a risky single. Picked up by Justin Langer. Throws in one action. Brilliant piece of fielding. And he may have just made it. That's a pretty hard one to tell, but the third umpire is calling for a different angle. So great excitement here at Sabina Park. Nobody knows what's happened. And Brian Lara taking a risk on 98, a risk on 99, and then being invaded by some idiots.
Well, it is a big mix-up here, isn't it, David? I've just had that hard feeling that I think he's made his ground, but pretty hard with the umpire right in the way there. But you wonder, don't you, the way he's hitting that ball, the way he's been hitting deliveries, way go for singles like that. You can see him fairly concerned.
So a tough one for the third umpire on those two replays. You'll see the stump to the right of the umpire's shoulder in just a moment. So the ball's hit the stumps, and there's the stump coming now, but the bat is some third of a metre over the line. And I think the third umpire, Jeffrey, has to give Brian Lara the benefit of the doubt.
Well, if you can't see it, David, obviously that's the only shot.
So there's 100 to Brian Lara. His 11th Test 100, his first since June in 1997. There's been a drought. There's been 7 Test matches since a West Indian has made a century. He was under enormous pressure in this match. He was given...
Hello to you and welcome to the highlights of a truly remarkable Test match. It was the second in this spring's cable and wireless series between the West Indies and Australia, and it was played in Jamaica. Now, what made it so extraordinary is that it started just 5 days after the West Indies had been bowled out in Trinidad in the first Test for just 51. And yet, thanks to an inspired innings from their captain, the West Indies were able to pick themselves up and turn the tables. Let's start at the beginning. Steve Waugh won the toss and once again decided to bat first, despite the fact that the pitch was obviously just a little bit damp. Now, the teams, the Australians were unchanged, no surprise there. Well, why would you tamper with a winning formula? In the West Indies camp, though, an injury to Roland Holder meant a new batsman, Lincoln Roberts, was called up for his debut, while suspicion that some spin might be needed in the game also meant a first Test cap for 30-year-old Nehemiah Perry. Let's join the action then as Australia start the first innings. It's the 5th over of the match, and it's Ambrose coming into Slater. In the commentary box, David Hookes is with Michael Holding.
And there goes Slater to get Australia off this morning. Goes towards the boundaries, a lovely outfield and fast. And it goes for 4. So the opening scoring shot of the second Test match is a boundary from Michael Slater off the bowling of Curtly Ambrose.
One of his favourite shots. Didn't really time it as well as you would have liked Michael Slater, but still found the gap between the man at third slip and the gully. And it's a very quick outfield.
Ambrose again. Online, and once again Slater just trying to play across the line a little bit. And the movement causing him the problems in the end. Ambrose looks good this morning, as does Walsh.
That's a lot closer to the line that I would like to see Curtly Ambrose bowl. Slater was looking to play that onto the onside. It straightened, got the leading edge, but he has to bowl middle and off stump, not outside the off stump at the moment.
In the air and through the gap, but catchable height. So the second boundary of the over goes in the same area. The first one was a legitimate cut shot. Slater steered that one through the gap, and Ambrose can't believe it. So Australia is off the mark with 2 boundaries. Going around the wicket now is Walsh. Not sure why, that's wide. Straight into the hands of Brian Lara at first slip. So the ploy of the fast bowlers are bowling around the wicket to left-handers around the world has borne fruit immediately. And Matthew Edder, who struggled this morning, as he did the first morning in Trinidad, just couldn't get his feet moving, couldn't get his bat in position. And Walsh decided to go around, and the reason he went around is to get the wicket.
Absolutely good bowling this from Courtney Walsh. Sliding it in towards Matthew Elliott. It pitches, straightens, and Brian Lara takes a very good catch at first slip. If you have the ability to bowl round the wicket, slant it in, and then straighten it, it's a good ploy. It's 8 for 1.
That's a typical Michael Slater shot. Magnificently played, fractionally short, and he hit it with great certainty. No ball and pulled away. Encouraged by the bounce he got in the previous one. Collins dropped that in short as well. Ambrose will just have a passing word to him, and well put away by Langer. Beautifully bowled, magnificent bowling from Courtney Walsh. Justin Langer touches it this time. Australia 28 for 2.
Well, you can't bowl any better than that. Justin Langer caught on the crease again. It was a carbon copy of the ball before. But Langer just had the countdown, or the count up, mounting. But Langer, this time, after the previous deliveries practice, got a bit closer to the ball and nicked it. Tremendous bowling from Walsh. And a real setback for Australia. Game on, 28 for 2.
Lovely shot from Mark Waugh. He just got there, he sat on his knee, waited for the ball, and just guided it through with exquisite timing for 4. So what a shot from Mark Waugh.
Well, Mark Ward just leans into that shot. Lincoln Roberts is the man there. That ball has just passed by a couple of metres, but you can see how quickly that ball travels over the ground. You see there, split the difference there. No chance for the fieldsman to cut that off. That's a beautiful shot there from Mark Waugh.
Gets all the way through. Big appeal, and he's been given out. Michael Slater not too pleased, but Walsh and the slips and wicketkeeper went up very quickly. It was quite a quicker delivery, and Slater is unhappy, but Australia loses its 3rd wicket courtesy of some very intelligent bowling by Courtney Walsh.
Well, Michael Slater shakes his head. Be interesting to see. This is a big in-swinger, this one. There's a bit of pad and bat there. I think it's hit his leg more than anything, but a big shout there. Peter Willie says he's on his way, so Slater's gone for 22, and that's the 3rd wicket down for Australia, 46 runs.
Well played. Right on top of it, cut away, along the ground to 3rd man, and 4 from the time it left the bat. Well, he's given him width and he's put it away. Gonna go all the way. Chase here for Jacobs, but always for just enough width outside the off stump and not enough turn back in, as we saw a couple previously.
Well, too wide, too short. You'll see it from here. All the time in the world, he just backs away, gives himself time, smacks it in front of point. This quick outfield, it's 4 runs all the way.
And he's lofted that. That's gone. That's a big hit by Mark Waugh. It's gone all the way. Picked it up beautifully. Everything right about the shot.
Well, he used his feet well here. This has gone wide and mid-on. Bang. He's a big hitter of the ball, Mark Waugh. And there it is, right into the wall, underneath the long life milk sign. You can see he hasn't really belted that at all, but that's gone a long, long way.
Here he goes again, Mark Waugh, and that is a big hit. That's into the George Headley stand, about 4 or 5 rows back. And he's brought up his half-century with a 6 over long on. Lovely timing.
Well, he certainly loves batting against off-spin, Mark Waugh. Very powerful hitter, times the ball very well, hitting with the spin.
And slashes it through the offside, so another 4 to Steve Waugh. Feet not necessarily next to the ball, but the bat certainly was.
And that is what you can afford to do on a pitch like this. Bounces through, the pace is through. And of course the ball is a bit older, into the 42nd over now. And you can play through the line. You don't necessarily have to get everything in the correct position if your eye is good.
Lovely cut shot. There's a man at third man, but he won't get that. Brilliant shot from Mark Waugh. Probably his best shot. He played a lovely cover drive early in his innings. But given that there's a man at third man, he placed it so beautifully.
Beautiful shot. Got right on top of it. Hit down onto the ball. And of course, as Hooks has said, placement. That's also very important. No point playing these very good-looking shots and hitting them straight to fielders. And Lara going a bit more defensive now. Spreading them far and wide. Just the one slip. 4 others on the offside, saving a single. And of course on the onside, another man has gone out deep behind square.
Full toss, and he'll get it away for a boundary. Walsh won't get there. So consecutive boundaries. 1 to backward point. 1 to fine leg. 13 runs from the over. So what an hour for Australia. It took Australia 28 balls to score its first run this morning. And then in that session they have blitzed the opposition. Ryan Lara has got some thinking to do.
Another boundary. So boundaries flowing here at Sabina Park. And the Australian pair really dominating.
Steve Waugh right to the pitch of that ball. And a free-flowing stroke through the covers.
That's the way he goes, just going down on his knee and sweeping rather than his brother does, and gets 4 runs for it. Didn't quite go in the direction he wanted, but went fast enough and went away for 4. He bowled him, a shooter, off the bottom of the bat, coming in off that rough spot. And the very first ball that Perry has bowled from the northern end gets him his first test wicket.
Well, you can't blame Mark Waugh for that. And from the bowler, he'll be very happy. That's his first test wicket. But he just won't feel quite as good about it as maybe many other forms of dismissal. An absolute shooter. Something the West Indies desperately needed. They had to break that partnership, and they have. Mark Waugh goes for 67. It's 158 for 4.
Great section of the crowd. Very good crowd, and they've come in after lunch when Australia had lost 3 wickets before lunch. Music blares between deliveries, between overs, at wickets, lunch, tea. And quite a warm day here in Jamaica, but with a pretty strong blustery breeze now. Perry. Red Stripe. Name of the local beer apparently here, Red Stripe. Right on line and a bit of turn.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about here. You'll see Perry now, those footmarks. You'll see the breeze blowing through my hair. You won't see it through Hooksy's, that's for sure. That's how hard it's blowing. He's lost his.
Lovely shot. And that's the 50 for the Australian captain. So a duck in the second innings last week in Trinidad. And he brings up a half-century under pressure for Australia. And he gets the applause of his teammates and many of the Australian supporters who travelled a long way to be here. The boxing kangaroo flag. But he knows the job is nowhere near complete. Brian Lara will be pretty keen to get Greg Blewett up to that end. Speculation about Blewett's lack of ability to play spin bowling compared to fast bowling. Very, very good player of fast bowling. A bit wider on the crease and cramping up Steve Waugh. Last time that Greg Blewett played here was in that famous match 4 years ago. He made 69, played very well, even allowing for the big 100 by Mark Waugh and the double 100 by Steve Waugh, and yet he became Keith Atherton's only test victim, pulling a rank long hop to mid-wicket on the way to what would have been a very good century. Too wide, and consecutive boundaries to the point boundary. That's poor bowling. And Steve Waugh has hit that very, very hard and placed it. 171 for 4. Blewett on strike to Walsh. A big shout in front, close in front, and Steve Buckner's given it. It took a long time to make the decision. And Greg Blewett, who goes so well forward on most occasions, seemed to have got trapped with the ball coming back in at him quite quickly. And Courtney Walsh picks up his 4th wicket of the day. And what an outstanding performance by the man who was presented with the keys of the city just 2 days ago here in Kingston.
Well, the local hero does it again. Unfortunately, Greg Blewett's the victim. This is how it happened. Going across the stumps again, trying to whip this one away. He's missed it. And I'm sure that would have hit middle stump about 2/3 of the way up. Steve Bucknell takes his time. Blewett's on his way for 5. The 5th wicket down for 171.
There's a man down at fine leg, and it won't get there. 6 runs. So Ian Healy has got off the mark with a 6. Steve Buckner signalling, and Courtney Walsh got the hook shot pulled out of the cupboard, and Ian Healy played it very fine, very well, and he's off the mark with a 6.
I suppose it wasn't the most confidence of shots here, but Healy's hit it fine. He knew those men were fairly square. It's gone really, really fine there. Too fine for the man at fine leg, Pedro Collins. And it's with the breeze as well. It's a very strong breeze. Umpire not quite sure, but it did just carry the rope. There is a rope inside that fence there. And it just disappears right at the base of the fence over the rope. 6 runs.
Campbell's in the air, over the heads of mid-wicket. Steve Waugh trying to pull it squarer and higher. Only managed to get it on the splice of the bat. Raghunath does the fielding and somehow into the breeze gets the ball back.
Well, that almost worked for the captain here. Steve Waugh decided to try and pull this one across the onside. It probably wasn't short enough. Got enough bat on it there to get it away for a couple. Extra bounce there too as well, I think, which done him.
And dangerous shot, chance to run out if he hits. It's a close, and he's thrown out. The umpire will call for the 3rd umpire. Peter Willey called for it, but it looked like he was safe because of the time that the bowler had to take the ball and throw the stumps down. I think if the ball had hit the stumps on the full, it was out, but maybe that extra half a second or so allowed Ian Healy to get through.
Yes, I just think this throw was just too wide here. See Joseph running here, picks it up cleanly, a good bounce. But it's a high throw here. Healy's a long way out there, but I'm sure he'll find he'll get in. Actually, he's not in. Well. Well, crowd pretty happy with that one. Ian Healy disappointed. It wasn't the best of throws, but that picture clearly shows him a good 6 inches out or so. And don't the crowd love that? So Healy's on his way now for 6. Of course, the one shot for that, 6 over the boundary, and 6 for 179.
Let us take you on a journey. On the 21st of March, a journey to the Midlands. Can wannabe champions Chelsea dispatch a stuttering Aston Villa? Will the day belong to the diminutive Italian and crafty Cockney, or is the way clear for the industrious Geordie and the enigma that is Stan Collymore? Then at 2, we travel south. Why kids dream? Why players toil? Why fans pray? It's Wembley. From the blue corner, Leicester City, steered by the masterful motivator Martin O'Neill, while in the white, Tottenham, guided by no-nonsense George Graham. High-speed action in the Worthington Cup final. Join Sky Sports on their travels Sunday from 11. The chase is on.
Seductively well built, the new Seat Toledo. Seat. Enjoy yourself.
Je m'en fous de mes amis, je m'en fous de leurs envies.
Now you can rest easy. The unique Orange Value Promise means that should you ever think a competitor's tariff suits you better, we'll give it to you on our network. Orange, the network that performs.
Hello, want a low-cost loan at your convenience? Whatever you want 800 to £15,000 for, call Lombard Direct on 0800 2 15,000.
Our rates reflect your circumstances, and our typical APR is just 11.9%.
I've just got us a great deal on a loan.
For an unsecured personal loan of £800 to £15,000, just call Lombard Direct now on 0800 2 15,000.
Right Guard Double Protection doesn't just keep you dry, it keeps you feeling fresh from the shower all day.
That's got it.
The money to buy your home. The money for an idea, a change, a dream. Together, in one loan from Northern Rock. 0845 600 6050.
Now you can bring your mobile number to the network that performs. Call 0800 80 1080.
Courtney Walsh, 16 overs, 3 wickets in his first spell and 1 in his second. The West Indies here just wanted to get rid of the lower order now. That's the problem they had in South Africa in the series there. That's the problem they had in the first Test match. Shane Warne held them up in both innings in that Test match, and now he gathers a couple with a wayward delivery from Perry down the leg side. Michael Holding was saying a while ago, if the fast bowlers can get a good rest from their batsmen, if their batsmen can stay out there for a length of time to allow them to rest between innings, which has not generally been the case recently, they'd appreciate it. Buys. Perry just drifting down the leg side here. He does have a strong leg side field.
too sure that you really won't be having too much of a bias on the leg side when the off spinners are bowling. That just will tend to make them bowl too much towards leg stump. That's not the line you really want them to be bowling.
Typical Steve Waugh shot, gone all the way for 6. Bending at the knee, that's a third 6 off Perry for the day, and that's the way Waugh hits them. That's Steve. Bends at the knee, look at it here.
And he's hitting with the wind as well, making it a bit easier. Hitting with the spin, whatever spin there is, and also remember on your screen the wind is blowing left to right. Loft it in that wind and it will do the rest.
That's a flashing stroke. That'll go for 4. Beats the fielder to the boundary. Room outside the off stump, and when Warren hits it, it stays hit. West Indies just don't want to let it get away at this stage. 200 has come on the board very quickly after the tea break.
Went in the air for quite some time. It was wide of off stump, and Shane Warne just threw the bat at the ball. You can see it going in the air for quite some distance, but there is no fielder in that position. That went behind square. There's a man on square. Well, he has been asked to come a bit more behind square now.
No ball pulled away, and will go all the way. So Australia coming out very belligerent after the tea break, having lost 3 wickets in quick succession before tea, have come out and have played their shots.
And there's the no ball. Putnell just stepping over the front line, looking to put Shane Warne on a bit of pressure by bowling short. But Shane Warne equal to the task. That was well hit. Hit it in front of square. His captain appreciates the shot.
So 4 runs again. Perry has been very inconsistent today and very expensive. Hardly an over has gone by without a bad ball, and that one was a bad one and put away very expertly by Steve Waugh.
There's a man out deep on the offside, but he's out on the point boundary. Had no chance of getting across to that. Perry certainly has been a bit inconsistent. That was much too short, much too wide.
Eight boundaries now for Steve Waugh, and the 6. He's moved on to 77. This is the ground where he registered his highest test score of 200 back in 1995. And just look at how quickly those runs have come in the session after the West Indies have got back into contention with those 3 wickets before tea. We've just let it slide here. Well, let's say credit to the Australians for coming out and being aggressive, taking their chances. We've seen a throw which would have been a run out had it hit the stumps.
They certainly have been very positive since the tea interval, the Aussies. That's what happens when you're confident. They are playing well, they are beating almost everyone around the world, and they just have that self-belief.
That's gone over the top and drops. First bounce, so more aggression here from the Australians. Worries now for Brian Lara.
Good shot that by Shane Warne. Mid-on is in, so why not go over the top?
Gone. Good catch by Dave Joseph. Pedro Collins strikes on his return, and the West Indies have got the breakthrough.
That is what was needed. A fuller length, just a touch of away movement as well. That ball slanted in towards Shane Warne. It pitched and then straightened. That's the reverse of what Courtney Walsh did to the left-hander when he went round. This time the left-hander going round to the right-hander. It's 227 for 7.
So again, Steve Warne strike, pretty much a ringish field. Round the wicket he goes, in the air, it's where second step should be, shouldn't be, and he ain't. Well, you pay the penalty when you got the other side 227 for 7. You would think that second slip would be mandatory.
Yet again, we saw it this morning. And once more, Brian Lara just short of that attacking fieldsman he needs. And the wicket of Stephen Waugh, which is so crucial to the West Indies, right down second slip's throat.
Bowled him all over the shot. Ambrose's first wicket. 242 for 8. Gillespie gone for 1.
This one just going on a little bit, just outside edge, didn't cover it too well. Mitt off stump goes out of the ground. Gillespie's on his way for 1. Ambrose takes the wicket, and Australia 8 for 242.
New batsman, and I suppose after the first test I use that term in the loosest possible sense, in that McGill was out for a pair. He won't face, and that's banged on the ground for 4. Overpitched, and Steve Waugh made no bones about that one.
Well, I think he realises he's running out of partners there, Tony, more than anything, like you were about to say. Stuart McGill's come to the crease, so immediately Steve Waugh drags this one from outside off stump and bangs it through mid-on. That takes him on to 94.
Another no ball from Collins, who really has overstepped today. West Indies didn't have this problem in Trinidad. That's his 10th no ball for the day.
Well, this is how Jason Gillespie got out, just played forward and missed it the wrong line. Ambrose has got around the wicket, and there it is, done the damage. It's taken him 2/3 of the day, or probably more, to get that wicket, and he's pretty